Well, hello, beautiful people. I hope you're all doing amazingly well. I wanted to make a video this evening, just talking to you about something called boundaries. Given the situation that's going on right now, we're currently in lockdown here in Sydney, Australia. We have a curfew placed on us. Um, we need to get tested every 3 days. We cannot travel more than 5 kilometers away from our homes. We cannot exercise for more than 1 hour. We must wear a mask outside, even if we are by ourselves, even if we are in the bush away from anybody else. We must wear a mask outdoors at all times. So we've had a lot of restrictions, and we've been under lockdown for about 10 weeks at the moment. And it made me question something. And what it made me question was a little thing called boundaries. I've got the patience of a saint. Anyone that knows me knows that I'm an extremely patient person. Like, too patient. Like, I'm saintly patient, damn it. So, once they've imposed a few of these new rules, I started questioning things. For example, I said to myself, if I decided to go outside and walk on my own, get some beautiful fresh air, and do one of those beautiful trails or hikes 5 kilometers away from my house, why would I wear a mask? Even in the middle of a pandemic. Can you explain that? Like, why? Like, why? So things like that just really make no sense to me. And I remember I had an argument with somebody, and I don't argue with people often, trust me. And it wasn't even like a intense argument, but it was oops, I'm out. It was more of a debate, okay? And this person said to me that, well, you got to follow orders. You got to follow, you got to follow what's directed to you from the government. Like, they're only here to help you and blah, blah, blah. And I'm fine with that. I understand that the government has a certain responsibility to look after its citizens, apparently, okay? And, in the middle of a pandemic, they're going to come up with some strategies to help, lower those numbers and to keep us safe. However, we all need to have boundaries. And my question is, for the people that are complying with every single order given to them by the government, and for the people that are complying and getting mad at people that are not complying, or getting mad at people that are questioning things, my question is directed to you. What are your boundaries? At what point during this whole situation are you going to say, hold on, I think that's a bit too far, or hold on, this makes no logical sense. I don't think I should be following this. Where's the line? That's my question. I think it's important in everyday scenarios, everyday situations in life. I think it's important that we have a boundary meter, okay? I feel like my boundaries have been crossed. And that is why I start to question things. And that is why I start to become more skeptical about the reasoning behind these things, behind these ordinances, behind these directives. I start to become more skeptical that it's simply about health. So my question to you is, first of all, reflect and ask yourself this question. Do I have boundaries? If so, where are they? What are the perimeters of your boundaries? And are your boundaries stable? Are your boundaries firm? Are they foundational? Are they unshakable? Or do your boundaries kind of just go with the wind? That's my question. See, me, I have a certain set of boundaries. I have lines that trigger something in my brain once I feel like they've been breached. And once I feel like these boundaries have been breached, that is where something, just an alarm rings in my head. And I'm like, oh, no, they've kind of crossed the line here. My boundaries have been, breached. And this is where I now start to think about things like non-compliance. This is where I start to think about things like, why should we be following these directives that make absolutely no sense to us? Why should I be following these directives that are restrictive towards me when I know for a fact it will be of no benefit to anybody else and no benefit to me? Explain that to me. I've learned the hard way about boundaries in my life. Growing up, I was bullied. Growing up, I was taught to never say no. The way that I was raised, I couldn't answer back to my family, particularly my father. I couldn't answer back. That is why I was raised within this environment where I didn't set up any barriers. That made me easy to walk on. That made me weak in school. That made me bullied for years because I had no boundaries. And thank God Almighty, as an adult, I started realigning myself and kind of figuring out that I need boundaries. And I started planting these flags wherever they needed to be. And I'm grateful that nowadays I do have boundaries set and that I'm very aware when they have been crossed. My question is for the people out there that are currently going in situations like I am and many other people around the world where we are being severely restricted by governments. My question is, what are your boundaries? When are they going to be crossed, if ever? Do you simply believe in the notion of compliance, 100% agreeable compliance? Think about the problem of being completely agreeable with people, completely compliant with people, completely submissive. If you have no boundaries set up in your life, then that makes you easy to manipulate. If you have no boundaries set up in your life, that makes you weak. That's why you need to have these boundaries, and have these boundaries in all contexts of your life. Have these boundaries in relationships. Have these boundaries when dealing with authority. You have to have these boundaries, guys. It's super important. And as I said, it's something I learned the hard way. It's something I actually had to self-learn. And it's something that, I'm happy to have nowadays as an adult. And I just think that people need to think about this, because if authorities see that you simply are agreeable and in compliance at all times and have no boundaries, then they could twist you any way that they want. And I feel like you're selling yourself short by doing that. You don't empower yourself by doing that. So just think about this. It's something I just thought about this evening. And I think it's an important topic that, each human being needs to have these boundaries and these lines set up. And they need to have that awareness that when these boundaries have been crossed, that they will stop tolerating it. They will not tolerate it. And they will not move the goalposts. You stick to the foundations of your boundaries, and when they have been breached, it's not your job to then move your boundaries further out. No. It's other people's job to respect your boundaries. I hope you enjoyed my video, and I hope you learned something from it tonight. And I appreciate you watching me, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I'd really love to hear your thoughts on this topic. Thank you so much, and have a good night.